Do you want to discover the most valuable financial skill there is? I'm Dreyer. I'm the founder of the Wealth Creators Method. Now, the method is based on the Wealth Creators strategy. And if I can give you a very quick definition of that, it's the intelligent use of limited resources to go from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest possible time with the least amount of risk. If we understand this strategy, then how do we apply it? And where do we start? We start with the end, the smallest amount of risk. We as wealth creators do not want to take risk. I know everyone tells you the higher the risk, the higher the growth, but it's a lie. The moment that you understand what you're doing, there is no risk attached to it. In fact, Warren Buffett says that risk is when you do not understand what you're doing. So if you do not know that, you are at risk. If I'm giving my money away to someone else, hoping that they're going to make me money, like an advisor or a Sanlam or a Mutual or Liberty or any of these companies or banks like ABSA or Standard Bank, whoever, then I am at risk because I can do nothing to mitigate the risk except where I'm going to place this. But all of them are going to play more or less the same game. So let me take you back and show you what do I mean with risk. Let's take, you've got 1,000 Rand. So if we apply that strategy, this is your limited resource. But you want to be financially free in 10 years' time, a second variable, and you want to have at least 10 million Rand at that point in time. So the only variable that can change is what growth must I get on my 1,000 Rand over 10 years in order to be able to do it. We can go to Excel, put in 1,000 Rand, and then depending on the growth that we're going to get, to see if we're going to get to 10 million. Now, I normally start off with, what do I have available? At that point in my life, there were unit trusts, there's a pension fund, provident fund, but then I could also take out a retirement annuity and endowment policies and stuff like that. So the first thing I did was to say, okay, I needed, let's say 10 million in 10 years' time. If I can get 10 million, I'm going to be financially free. Now, it can be 20 million, 50 million, 100 million. It's you that's going to decide. But let's work on the 10 million for now. That 10 million, that is my freedom number. So I've determined that. This means that I've set a goal. So how do I know that I'm going to be successful in achieving that goal? Earl Nightingale has got a fabulous definition for success. He says, success is the progressive realization of a worthwhile goal or a worthwhile ideal. So now we've got the goal. Now let's get back to the strategy. It's the intelligent use of limited resources. In other words, I must use the skills and the talents and the gifts and the knowledge that I've got and the money that I've got in order to turn that over a period of time to go from where I am to where I want to be. Let's assume I've got 1,000 Rand. This is where I am today. And I want to get to 10 million in the shortest possible time. I feel 10 years is not that long. And then with the least amount of risk. So risk is when we do not know what we're doing. So the moment that I give my money to someone else, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's go to Google and let's see if there's a way that we can actually get to 10 million by making use of the best unit trust there was for a 10-year period. Okay, now I'm looking for the best growth that I can get. There's a 8.4%. Let's see if there's a 14.2%. Is there more than 14.2% over the 10-year period? I don't see anything, but let's keep on scrolling. There's a 14.1%. There's a 15%. It looks like there's a 15%. That's the best that I could get. So if I've made this decision 10 years ago that today I want 10 million and the best fund that I could invest in gave me a 15%. Now we need to go and do the calculation. So how do you do that calculation? Very simple. We go to Excel. We say we put in 1,000 Rand at 50% over 10 years. That's going to give us 275,000 Rand. Now, That's not going to make a difference. If I need 10 million today, I know that 275, yeah, it's 275, but it's not going to help me in order to get to my goal. So I know, without wasting any time, that if today I'm going to make a decision that's only going to be valid in 10 years' time, where I want to have the 10 million, that none of these funds, none of the pension funds, provident funds, retirement annuity, unit trust, because all of them are based on the stock market that is based on a portfolio that someone is going to manage. So what's the alternative? Let me show you. I can work backwards. In other words, in Excel, again, I say I want to get to 10 million, but I know that I can't get more than 15%. So how much must I put in per month? Because that's another way that I can get to my goal. So let's quickly change this to 10, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is 10 million. And let's see what the result is. This means that I can get to my goal at 15% in 10 years' time, on condition that I've got 36,334 rands and 96 cents that I have to invest per month for the next 10 years. So you have to sit down and say, okay, what is it that I can afford? I'm going to work on 1,000 rand to make things easy. But then there's another way that we can do it. And that is simply to say, okay, if it's 10 million, the second variable that can change, because we've got 1,000 rand, we know that's a variable that is fixed. The 10 years is fixed and the 10 million is fixed. So the only other option is for my money to grow at 65%. That 65% we now call your financial freedom growth rate. So now we can start playing around. If you want 20 million, you must get 73%. If you want to get 13 million, you must get 68%. So we've got a benchmark. This tip that I'm giving you has saved me enormous amounts of time and effort and money, because everyone's going to try to convince you that their product is going to work. But the moment that you're in that product, they're going to come back and more and more and more and more that you need to pay in order to get to your goal. But the moment that you do it the other way around, then I know that for 1,000 rand, I need to get, let's say, 65%, right? So if I want to turn that into 10 million again, it's going to be 65%. If there's no ways that I can get to 65%, that goal will not become my reality. And then I have to change my goal. But Warren Buffett says that risk is when you do not know what you're doing. So if I do not know how to get to 65%, it means that I don't know what I'm doing. And as I've said already, what most people are doing, we take our money, we give it to someone else, hoping that we're going to get the results. We can see it's not going to, but we don't know what else to do. But here's the trick. How do you offset risk? It's actually very simple. You gain high-value skills. Because the moment that you've got the skills, the risk starts to getting lower. And therefore, the growth is going to go up, which is directly the opposite to what I've learned at that stage in order to become a certified financial planner. Luckily, I've started looking at property and developed the Property Pro investment system. And by developing that system, what I discovered was that property's got 27 variables. So, by the way, property is one of the easiest ways for a normal person to get to their goal without giving up their job. In other words, you don't have to take any more risk, but you have to do it the right way. Because if we look at that progressive realization of a worthy goal, that progressive means that on my money, I must get a 65%. And if I do that year in, year out, I will get to the 10 million. But what's the safest and the most cost-effective way to do it? It's very simple to get the right information in the right order for the level of the game that I'm at. And then I have to simply apply that to measure the results to see if my skills are up to date. And the skills come in from the strategy. It's the intelligent use of limited resources. In other words, I can't rely on someone else on the resource, the money that I've got available. They're not going to give me my goal because they don't know how to get their goal themselves, because they've studied how to sell products. They've never learned the skills to let their own money work for them. They depend on you and me to make an investment so that they can get a fee or a commission from that. That's how they're making their money. That means that I have to take responsibility. If I do not take the responsibility to learn the skills, I'll never have this. So in 87, I said, I'm going to learn the skills when it comes to property. I developed the property program. So how difficult do you think it is to get to 65%? For the normal person, if you, first time that you listen to me, you're going to say it's impossible. Especially if you're a financial planner or a CA or MBA or one of those guys. You're going to say it's impossible, but you see what happened to me in 87. I had clients that became extremely rich in less than 10 years and that were in a position where they could retire if they wanted to. They were financially free. So there must be a way to do it. And then I discovered, but all I need to do is to find a way to invest to get to 65%. And that's exactly what I did. So let me quickly take you to the Property Pro investment system. We have to log in, and I'm not going to take you through the whole process. Let's see, this one is going to give us a 68%. I want to just increase it so that I can quickly show you. So in 5 years' time, if you look at this property, we can see it's a 68% growth. There are 27 variables. Each and every variable represents a risk. And now we learn the skills in order to mitigate or to offset that risk. Or in the event that that risk happens, for example, a tenant doesn't pay, what on earth do you do so that you still get to your end result? These are the skills that then becomes crucial in order to make sure that you're going to get it. And if you get a 68% growth, let's quickly have a look and see on Excel, what's it going to be? So if I can get a 68%, continue with that for 10 years' time, and we say we can get a 68% growth on that, what's the end result? It's 13 million. So now we've got a way where we can determine what growth we need. We call it your financial freedom growth rate. I've got courses on this, but I think this is more than enough for you to start doing your own little calculations. And then to simply see, but are there other investments that can give me that growth? Now, the bad part about this whole thing is you need to take the responsibility to learn the skills in order to be able to get that 65 or 68 or 80%. You're not going to get it by giving your money to someone else. And this is basically the message that I want to bring to you. And this is what we do at the Wealth Creators University, where we help people to gain the skills in order to be able to get that growth. Now, if you are serious and you want to find out a little bit more about property investments and how the formula works and the wealth creator strategy and how to apply it in a method, in a step-by-step way, then I've got a masterclass that I'd like to invite you to. You'll find a link in the description area or somewhere on this video. You simply click on that, book your seat. It's about 2 hours normally. And there will be an opportunity for you to ask me any question relating to investments. And I'm going to use that then as a training session to show you why is it that the majority of people will never be able to get to their financial freedom growth rate. Secondly, why your house will be the worst investment that you ever make in your life, simply because people do not know how to invest, and therefore they believe what agents and so forth are saying, that property is a great investment. For most people, it's not. And then I'm going to show you a shortcut where you can gain all the skills and get the same growth that I'm getting and that hundreds of my students are getting. And it's literally a week if you do it spare time or 1 day full time, and you will know how to get to 65%. And you'll be able to evaluate any property in less than 5 minutes. And then lastly, I'm going to show you what's the power of the wealth creator strategy and how to apply it not only in property, but in any of the investments, for example, in your business or in cryptos or in property. I like property and I use it as I can almost say my security blanket, my baseline, because from there on, then I can start building on this. And just as a fun bonus, what I'd like to do is to show you a challenge that I'm busy with, where I've said that I'm going to take less than 100 Rand, not 1,000 Rand per month, but less than 100 Rand, and turn that 100 Rand into a property portfolio of at least 10 million within a 5-year period. I'm not going to wait for 10 years to be able to get there. In other words, you'll see that my growth that I need to get is far more than the 65 or the 68%. But by showing you what I'm doing and showing you the results where we are now after a little bit more than 2 years, I know that your mind is going to go, whoa, if there's another way, I need to find out how. Because this was my attitude in 1987 when I saw I needed to get a 55% growth. And as a financial planner or an advisor at that point in time, I could not see how on earth I'm going to do it. But I had reference points. I had other clients that were rich, that were getting more than 55% growth. And because I became aware of that, I started asking questions. And none of them became rich because of unit trust and retirement annuities and endowment policies and even the stock market. They became rich because they followed the total out-of-the-box strategy. And that strategy I define as the wealth creator strategy. And I'd love to share this with you if you are interested. So please make sure to book and then pitch up. And then I'm going to share some of my blueprints and the strategy with you so that you can see if you can apply it and in what way can you apply it. This, my friend, is powerful, powerful stuff, especially the moment that you know how to calculate your own financial freedom growth rate. That's where everything is going to start. So go to Excel. Maybe what I can do if you want to, but you have to let me know. But if you want me to send you a link to this Excel spreadsheet so that you can follow along, give me a comment on this and ask me for the link. I'll gladly send it to you. Maybe we put it in a Google Docs or somewhere, I don't know, my office will do it. And then you can follow me and you can start gaining the most valuable skill. And that skill is to determine your own financial freedom growth rate and not be dependent on someone else to tell you what growth you can get or can't get. And if they can't get that, then you have to pay more and more and more. So you're in a losing situation the whole time. And luckily for me, I had the insights in 1987 to change that. 7 years later, we were financially independent and we could do the things that were important to us. And the things that are important to me is what we call financial freedom. And freedom to me simply means to be able to do what I want, when I want, how I want, with whom I want, where I want, without worrying about money. And this is for the last, 21, 22 years. I'm teaching people this because I've been financially free for more than 7 years before I started teaching this. I hope that you found this valuable. Also, if you're on YouTube, give me a like and follow this channel because I'm doing stuff like this on a regular basis. And I'm sure that you don't want to miss out because you're not going to get this kind of information anywhere else. So see you then in the next one.